Horrible, horrible, horrible. Oh my goodness gracious, you just can't get worse than these numbers.
So I guess, as a Republican, I infer that he thinks half the country is immoral.
Well, this is interesting. Democrats broke two pretty big records recently. The longest floor speech we have ever seen on the Senate floor, 25 hours by Senator Booker, Democrat, and the lowest approval ratings we have ever seen within the Democrat Party ever. Two massive records. So in this video, we will go over the most recent CNN meltdowns going over these topics, and I think you'll find this video pretty entertaining and actually quite comical. Let's get to it.
It is a feat of longevity, I'm not sure what the point of it is. He didn't stop any legislation. He didn't hold up any nominations. He said it was a moral moment. So I guess, as a Republican, I infer that he thinks half the country is immoral. And that kind of messaging to me is exactly what's been plaguing the Democrats certainly in the last election, in the last several months, is this idea that this hatefulness towards your fellow American just because they chose a different party or voted a different way.
Now, despite Democrats having the lowest approval ratings ever, I will show you that in a second, here's what Senator Booker had to say about this entire filibuster, because again, this was a filibuster.
To be candid, Strom Thurmond's record always kind of just really irked me, that he would be the longest speech, that the longest speech on our great Senate floor was someone who was trying to stop people like me from being in the Senate. So to surpass that was something I didn't know if we could do, but it was something that was really, as we got closer, became more and more important to me.
And our own Harry Enton reported this morning that congressional Democrats have a 21% approval rating. So in some respects, there's nowhere to go but up. And Cory Booker, I think, is trying to fill a vacuum. There's no real leadership nationally of the Democratic Party. Obviously, they don't have any confidence in Schumer. They've had a lot of radical voices out there who are trying to take control of the party. So maybe this was an attempt by him to try to, wrest control of at least the spiritual leadership of the national party. I don't know if it'll work.
This is a rebuke.
Now, I think I can hear some of you guys laughing or gasping because of how shocking these numbers are. Even though I'm filming this on April Fool's Day and I thought this was a complete troll, no, this is actually how bad it is. So go ahead, sit down, relax, maybe pause the video, go get some popcorn, because these numbers are shocking.
Holy Toledo. Voters' views of the Democrats in Congress among all voters disapprove 68%. And look at the approved number, just 21%, even lower than the Democratic Party at large. This is the lowest on record for Democrats, according to Quinnipiac University polling. You think these numbers are bad? Let's go to this side of the screen. We'll look how Democratic voters feel. Get this. The plurality of Democratic voters disapprove of Democrats in Congress at 49%, and just 40% approve. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Oh my goodness gracious, you just can't get worse than these numbers.
I told you these numbers are rather shocking. However, in the rest of this segment, CNN really gives us an idea of where Democrat voters want their elected officials to go, and I'm really curious how you guys feel about this.
And this is the number right here really driving all of this. If Democratic voters have turned on Democrats in Congress and the Democratic Party, that's what puts the numbers at historic lows. What is it they want to be seeing, these voters?
What is going on? I'll tell you what's going on. They don't like what's coming out of some of those Senate Democrats like Chuck Schumer, because take a look at the direction of the party. Democratic voters on Democrats in Congress doing too little to oppose Donald Trump. Look at this, 77%. Should stay principled, even if it means nothing gets done in Washington, D.C., 65%. And this 65% is such a difference from where we were in 2017 at this point, when just 33% of Democrats say they should stay principled, compared to 59% who said they want to compromise. Democrats do not want compromise at this point. They want a fighter. They want to go into the ring like Muhammad Ali did against Sonny Liston. They want to take down the Republicans. They do not want this compromise anymore. They want to be more like Republicans, can get up to that stage and fight. And right now they feel like their leaders in Congress are simply put not doing so. And that is why their approval rating for congressional Democrats is at an all-time low, even among Democrats with more disapproving than approving.
Yeah, it seems that these Senate Democrats, some of them are banking on the idea that there is still a political middle, as it were. We will see. We will see.
Now, I don't know about you, but I actually think these set of numbers are way worse than the low approval rating numbers, because when you look at the wording, should stay principled, even if DC nothing gets done 65%, doing too little to oppose Donald Trump. Again, this is an indicator, and we know this, Democrats were willing to shut down the government because it opposes Trump, but also Democrats don't want their leadership to get anything done, or they are okay with nothing getting done. Thus, if you are a Democrat official, like, what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to get something done or not get something done because Democrat voters are okay with you doing nothing? You see, this is kind of an odd position, I think, for Democrats. The low approval ratings and they are okay with getting nothing done, very odd direction.
And, you know, people tend to forget just how much young talent exists in the Democratic Party. And I just keep trying to remind people, and I think all of this is going to be front and center. I think one of the pleasant surprises of 2028 is going to be just how in touch Democrats are and how much talent there is in the party. And it's not, you know, it's in Kentucky, it's in Pennsylvania, it's in Arizona, it's in Louisiana, it's in Georgia, it's in Michigan, it's in a lot of different places.
The problem that we have right now is that if we continue down this road, then we will not have a rule of law, because we have people that are currently serving and they're saying things like, ignore the judge's order. What it means to have law and order in this country is that you follow the order and you go through the appeals process, even if you dislike what the judge did. Thank you. And
Ms. Ocasio-Cortez, or AOC as we know her, filed articles of impeachment on Justice Thomas and Alito. Ms. Crockett was one of the co-sponsors along with Mr. Cohen, both members of this committee. It does seem interesting that when the shoe is on the other foot, everyone is self-righteous. And I think this is a good example. For the last
Mr.
3
Chair,
hours, I have had to listen to one side talking about impeachment as though it was the nature of this hearing.
So according to the most prominent Democrat strategist, in 2028, we're going to have a lot of young voices, young Democrats with hidden talent that people don't know about. As far as Jasmine Crockett, the reason why I put that clip in there, I just found it a little ironic that clip surfaced the same day that MSNBC clip surfaced. And I'm like, is this supposed to be the new talent that America is supposed to fall in love with as far as the Democrat Party? Because I don't see any indicators or polling that would say that people are really into Jasmine Crockett.
I just have to ask, what the hell is going on here, Miller?
Well, first of all, I think that's the first ever filibuster in American history from Cory Booker in favor of getting men into women's sports, keeping our borders open, and making sure that we tax the wages of our tip workers in Nevada. So very courageously, Cory Booker has stood strong for those three issues. Here's what he never filibustered for. Here's what the Democrats never filibustered for. The dead bodies of American citizens raped, mutilated, and murdered by the illegal aliens that Joe Biden and his administration and Secretary Mayorkas funneled into our country during the invasion that took place over the last 4 years. They released people into this nation, not people, monsters into this nation. And now they have the temerity to say that every single invader that Joe Biden let in should get their own individual judicial trial before they're deported, one at a time. Each one gets $1 million trial in front of a Congress judge to decide whether or not we can send them home. How about hell no? How about we pick them up and we get them out of this country so they can't hurt anyone else?
Now, I do apologize for the harsh language, but I do think this is a very good, relevant point. You can see the massive difference between the talking points and the messaging. When you look at Jasmine Crockett, she is representing a very typical Democrat talking point. How Republicans don't like judges. If the judge does not rule in your favor, as you can see, Republicans are trying to tear them down, thus we don't have a constitution. However, again, this argument has been happening for a while now, and the approval ratings are still going down. So what does that tell you? But the approval ratings for deportations are still going up because the messaging has always been the same. Get aggressive. Bring out the facts. Bring out what Americans have feelings for, which are the 80-20 issues. 80% of Americans, feel a certain way about deportations. Within that 80%, maybe you can grab 60% as far as being with you all the way, which I think 60% is the new stat as far as how many Americans support the deportation. So again, as you can see, I'm just trying to show you guys, there's a massive split between how the messaging is done between the Trump administration and the Democrats.
Liberal Tesla lover here. My sister has 2 in her family, so have not thrown any Molotov cocktails recently. But I wanted to talk to you about what DOGE has been doing. So you've been making cuts to a lot of the agencies that have open investigations and regulatory battles with your companies. At the same time, you continue to get billions in government contracts. Tesla gets billions in subsidies. How do you explain that to the American people?
Now, this clip really fell in my lap as I was making this video. This is a Democrat, a Tesla lover. However, let's talk about DOGE. Scott Jennings talks about this all the time, where Democrats will act like they agree with you, tongue-in-cheek, flip the script and say, actually, I don't agree with you. And again, they go on that 20% side. The majority of Americans actually do agree as far as the cuts with DOGE and from USAID and the other organizations that are getting exposed for the wasteful spending.
Well, everything that DOGE does is an open book. So I think the most transparent the most transparent organization in government ever. Every single DOGE action is listed on the doge.gov website. It's also listed on the X handle. So if anyone has a concern about any one of those actions, they can bring that up, they can raise that. And I do want to say, sometimes we make a mistake. Nobody bats 1,000. We will at times make a mistake, we'll act very quickly to correct it. I am under such an extreme spotlight, so much scrutiny, that it's literally impossible for me to get away with anything nefarious. And obviously, nor do I wish to. So this is a case where we have radical transparency. We're actually willing to admit that we do make mistakes. Often people are not willing to admit they make mistakes, but we are. But we want to emphasize we fix them quickly, and we're trying to do the right thing for the American taxpayer, for the American people. And I think history will be the judge that what we've done here and what we're doing is a very good thing for the strength and future of America.
I don't drive a Tesla, by the way, but I do want to point out, that is a very fair assessment, in my opinion, to say we will let history be the judge. I really don't care what you guys have to say because we are already transparent. Now, again, leave your comments down below how you feel about this, but the point of that video was to show you, hey, I'm a Tesla fan, but by the way, let's talk about DOGE, and isn't that kind of bad? I don't like this argumentation from Democrats. If anything, I'm almost helping Democrats out. You have to stop doing it because it doesn't come off as genuine, in my personal opinion.
A climate of fear and trepidation has descended upon the nation. The people of America are more afraid today for our democracy and for their personal safety than ever in our lifetimes. College students have disappeared off the streets paramilitary style by plainclothes, mask-wearing individuals and held incognito for days before they are discovered thousands of miles away in some private for-profit ICE detention facility. Why? For exercising their free speech First Amendment right.
Look, I had to throw that clip in there because it surfaced. That clip is from the same congressional hearing that Jasmine Crockett was at. And as a Republican, I'm seeing that and I'm like, what is going on? I know I have a bias, but if you are a Democrat, please let me know if you agree with what that gentleman is saying. Anyway, thank you guys for being here. This is a 24/7 operation. We have a lot more work to do. Thank you guys for everything. God bless, and we'll see you all later. Thank you.